Welcome to Kitch'n Gardens. This is Myrtle Pettit, your clinical nutritionist. Hello, everyone. We're so happy to be here with Dr. Lee Wellard, a master herbalist. And so we have a few questions for him. Would you mind?
Sure, go right ahead.
Okay. So can you tell us about yourself?
Okay, well, I grew up in England and Australia. I have an Australian accent. My mother was a herbalist when I grew up, but I had no interest in herbal medicine whatsoever because I was the guinea pig. I had to take all these things. So anyway, keep it short. My wife and I, after we were newly married, we traveled to the Philippines, and unfortunately, my wife had a severe case of insomnia. It lasted nearly 6 years, and she couldn't sleep past midnight every day for 6 years. So that led us on a journey. We ended up, I got invited to come to America, get medical training, and a part of the training, a small part of it was herbal remedies. And so we had this big, thick herbal textbook called Medical Herbalism, and I didn't even read it, to be honest with you. My wife read it. And anyway, so the bottom line was she found some help in that book with her sleep condition.
Yes.
And she used a herb called oat straw or Vena sativa. And within 3 days, she was back to 8 hours sleep a night.
Wow,
Which
that quick.
that really impressed me. And I wasn't that big into herbs at the time. I didn't really think they were that important. But when that happened and a few other incidents happened, I started to be a believer.
Yes, and that led you to becoming a master herbalist.
That was the first step. We also used herbs for having children. My wife couldn't conceive, and we tried for years. And so she started taking a herb called Vitex or chasteberry, and within 2 weeks she fell pregnant. And so we also used it again for our second child, and she was 43 at the time. We had a second child, and yeah, healthy babies. Yeah, everything worked out. But that was a sort of another nail in the show place. And then on top of that, my son, he couldn't breastfeed because she had Raynaud's syndrome of the breast. Now, usually it's in the hands. So he was getting a lot of upper respiratory issues and colds, and so he was sick like half of his life growing up. And so we thought there's got to be something we can help. And we ended up getting involved with using elderberry. And it didn't necessarily stop him getting sick all the time, but instead of 50% being sick, he was only 10% sick. And after years went by, it got to a point where he was hardly sick at all.
Wow, it boosted his immune system.
It really helped him, yeah. So after that, I did some Master Herbalist studies, holistic health practitioner studies, and also naturopathic studies. And then we opened a herb shop. We opened one in Michigan, one in Indiana, and then we started doing training, workshops, seminars. And
what a long journey.
Grew out of there. Yeah. Long journey. Yeah.
So let's put it like with the oat straw that we've learned. That's pretty good for insomnia. And then you guys used Vitex. That is actually good for women with hormonal imbalance. And then we learned also about boosting the immune system with elderberries.
Yes.
So for people who wanted to pursue being an herbalist, what is that process like?
Well, it's going to vary according to where you get the training. So there are herb courses out there you can do in a few months. There are herb courses that take 4 years, like a degree program. So, you know, the course that I did, it was very intense. It was sort of like a medical program. And I wouldn't necessarily recommend people do the same program as I did because just to give it a little warning, you know, there are a lot of false concepts that we've done, especially new age concepts. And as a Christian, I feel that you know, those are things we want to avoid. God is the one that made the plants, and so we try to stay clear of any spiritualistic overtones. So that led me to actually put together a training course, a herbal training course that was more Christian based.
Yes.
And so
let our viewers know about that course.
Yeah, so I was invited one time by an organization called Lay Institute of Global Health Training based in Georgia, and they said, can you come down and put a course together? And so we did some videoing, and basically in a few months we got this course together.
Wow.
And so it's something you can do in a year, just part-time as you're able to do it. And maybe we put a link
Yes, we'll
below the
definitely
video or something.
put a
You
link down
can look
below.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
So, as a master herbalist, what are your top 3 herbs and why?
Yeah, top 3 herbs. Well, normally I talk about the top 20 herbs, but the top 3 herbs, I would say it's very hard to put one above the other, but I would say the ones that we use the most and see the most results, I'd say is turmeric root, such a powerful anti-inflammatory, and it's good for so many conditions. And then also
it's rich in curcumin, right?
curcumin, yes,
yeah, and
yes.
curcuminoids.
Although if you take curcumin out of it, it's still anti-inflammatory. Yeah. So there's over 5,000 chemicals in turmeric.
That's amazing.
So all chronic disease has one thing in common. It's pro-inflammatory. So if you use anti-inflammatories, it's going to help reduce that inflammation and pain. And so turmeric is fantastic for that. And then I'd say the close second would be cayenne.
Okay.
Cayenne. And the reason for that is because how the body heals is through the blood. And cayenne is the best circulatory herb I know of. And so when you stimulate circulation through the body, you bring nutrition, you bring oxygen, you help with waste elimination, you improve phagocytes, you're just helping bring healing quicker to that part of the body. So cayenne's been used for heart attacks and strokes, and also hemorrhaging and pain. Also helps metabolism. It can help with digestion. It can help with brain fog and migraines, headaches, so many problems. So I would say cayenne would be a good close second. And then a third one, I'll put this in as a nutritional herb. Okay, so I would say nettle.
Stinging nettle
is in a rare category of herbs called tropho-restorative, and that means it helps every body system. And so a lot of people use nettle just for nutritional support. Many people use nettle to help with allergies. So it's excellent. It's the #1 choice for allergies.
Yeah, like almost like an antihistamine.
It has antihistamines in it. It has serotonin in there. It also has dopamine in there. It has high amounts of phytochemistry. It's high in vitamin A, C, and E. It also has B, D, K, and P.
Yes. Let me just add that the time when we visited Maine and you were there, I was actually struggling with my seasonal allergy, because especially in springtime, and you told us that we should get some stinging nettle and take it. So we made a tea out of it, and it really helped me out.
I forgot
really
all about
gave me so much relief, because every springtime it's just terrible, but that stinging nettle really helped me out. So I just wanted to thank you personally.
Oh, it's a pleasure. I forgot all about it, to be honest with you. But nettle's also excellent for helping with iron. So for ladies with anemia, it's very good for that. Also, it is good for blood pressure, blood sugar. And we've had people, and I wouldn't have believed it hadn't I seen it, but we've had people who've been completely bald, whose hair's grown back just using nettle.
Stinging nettle, wow.
It's amazing.
Hair loss.
For hair loss, In fact, it ended up becoming something that we put into a formula for hair loss.
Even with alopecia?
Yes.
Oh,
yes,
wow.
yeah. We've had people completely bald for years, and they've taken it, and their hair's grown right back.
Wow.
Yeah, it's amazing.
That is amazing.
Yeah, and
Truly.
also it's good for the skin. It's good for the liver, the kidneys, the bladder, hormones. It's
And it's what
also,
you said. It's very nutritive.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, some herbalists say it's the most nutrient-dense herb on the planet. Yeah,
Wow.
even more,
Stinging
yeah, stinging
nettle.
nettle. Yeah, so
Wow.
pretty
That's
rich.
awesome.
Yeah, so I could tell stories all day of nettle, but those are some of the highlights. From a nutritional perspective, it's probably the closest thing we have to the tree of life
Wow,
on
take
earth.
note of that. Wow.
Yeah.
So we have the top 3 herbs, the turmeric, we have the cayenne, and stinging nettle.
Yeah.
So a lot of people have issue concerning their immune system. What are the herbs that we can use in boosting our immune
Yeah,
system?
so as I mentioned before, elderberry is very good. That's good for viral infections. So if
Okay.
you've got cold or flu, upper respiratory tract infections, it's very good for that. I would say also echinacea
Yes,
and golden seal.
golden seal.
And then we also use Oregon grapefruit. It's well known among herbalists, but not so well known among the lay people.
Okay.
But it's one of the best antibacterial herbs. And then also we use astragalus root.
Astragalus.
Yes,
Yeah.
so we do a blend of those herbs together, and it works really well. So if it's bacteria or viral, those herbs will help with that.
That's wonderful. So we have a lot of herbs that we can use if we are dealing with viral issues or any other things when it comes to boosting our immune system. So most people actually are struggling with some sort of pain and they wanted to manage it. So are there herbal remedies that they could use for
Yes,
pain?
there is. This was the biggest need, I think, with herbal remedies in helping with pain relief, because this is what turns a lot of people to pharmaceuticals.
And become dependent on
Become
it.
dependent on it. Yeah, the good thing about using herbs is the longer you take them, the less you need of them.
Wow.
Whereas the longer you take drugs, the
more
more
you
you're
become
dependent on them. And all drugs lead to nutritional deficiencies. And they do that by taking nutrition to become a metabolite and then taking nutrition for excretion of that metabolite. And so with herbs, they actually do the opposite. They donate. They add these extra electrons that can help stabilize, prevent free radical damage, help with reactive oxygen species, and enhance the body's natural nutritional requirements. So that's what I like about them. So regarding with pain, what we've found is some of the best herbs are Jamaican dogwood.
Okay, Jamaican.
Okay, it's not very commonly known, but it is from Jamaica. It's a specific type of dogwood. Not all dogwoods. In fact, this is the only dogwood I'd recommend for pain. And then also there's wild lettuce seed. There is willow bark, which is where we get aspirin from. Salicylic acid is actually from the willow bark, and they've isolated. And then also turmeric, as I mentioned before. Devil's claw is another one.
Devil's claw,
Yes. So we combine those together in a formula. But yeah, those are some of the best ones.
Yes, the wild lettuce, my husband actually used that when he had severe pain because of his sciatica. And he also had a bulging disc, and it really helped him a lot.
Great.
And the other one that I used also, although it's not on your list, cramp bark.
Oh,
if
yes.
ever you have cramps,
Period pains.
especially
Yes.
for women, period pains, that really helps me a lot, and that is the only thing that really helped me. And of course, taking magnesium supplements. So
yes, cramp bark is excellent for period pain, and it's the fastest thing I've seen to work for that because it's such a strong antispasmodic.
wow.
The only thing is, it doesn't taste that great.
Yes,
but
it's bitter.
but it does
bitter.
work, and it works pretty quickly. Works very quickly.
Yes.
Yeah.
So our next question is that younger and younger people are developing depression. What can you recommend to them for, seasonal and acute depression and for prolonged
Yes,
depression?
yes. Okay, so for seasonal depression, now there are things outside of herbs that can help with that, like blue light, for example. And I used to live in Japan one time where there was no sunlight in the city I was living for about 6 months. So I know all about the effects of that. But just having light in the home, even if it's not blue light, it will lift your spirits. However, that being said, there are some herbs that can help with seasonal depression, or general depression, should I say. And the ones I recommend are oat straw again.
Okay,
Oat straw, and also
so nutritive, almost like a tonic.
Yes, well, what it does, it improves serotonin levels.
Okay.
Yes, so that's helpful. St. John's wort. Now, with St. John's wort, you really need to use it 3 times a day to be effective.
Okay.
All right, so something you would do morning, lunch, and evening or afternoon time. Now, it does have some conflict with some medication, so just be aware about that, especially SSRIs.
Okay.
So there's also bacopa and ginkgo biloba.
Yes.
Yes, so those are probably some of the best. And also nutritionally, let me just add another one in, which is flaxseed oil.
Rich in omega-3.
Omega-3s.
Yes.
Yes.
So to improve the mood and also, help nourish our body, those are good herbs to get. So now we wanted to know about, because ADHD has skyrocketed in the past 10, 20 years. What can you recommend to parents to calm their children down and also to help their children sleep at night?
Right. Well, you need what we call nervines. This is a category of herbs that helps relax and feeds the nerves. And so there are quite a few of them, but I hate to be redundant, but the oat straw again is another excellent one for that, and we've used it for ADHD. And when my son was younger and bouncing off the walls, we would use that for him. And also, there's another herb called California poppy. This isn't the opium. Okay, I just want to be clear about that. Yeah. It's not the seed, it's from the flower. And it doesn't have any psychotropic effects. So, but it does help boost serotonin levels, and it's particularly useful for children with ADHD.
Yes.
And
so
for
that's something. Sleep, what can we give the children? Like,
yeah,
there's lavender, there's chamomile.
There's over 100 different herbs for sleep. There's over 100 different causes to sleep problems. So what you got to do is find out the cause of the sleep problems. And so, is it stress related? Is it muscle tension? Is it hormonal? Is it digestive? What?
Or it could also be they're using too much of the iPad.
They could be, yes, it could be.
Because that also brings blue light.
That's
and you have to block the blue light.
That's right. So, it could be nutritional. Just find out, isolate, try to find out what is the main play in causing that. And then you look to the herbs that are specific for that. So if it's, for example, let's say it's hormonal, then you could use, as a woman, you could use the Vitex to help with that. If it's digestive, you may want to take some chamomile. If it's muscle tension, you may want to take a muscle relaxant. And valerian is useful for that. If it's stress, you could use kava, you could use oat straw, lavender. So there are many different things. And also, just want to add a point here that there are specific varieties that are specific for that particular problem. Okay, let me explain. So let's say lavender. I used to have people come to my store and say, I want some lavender oil. And I say, well, what kind
of lavender?
There's 400 different types.
Wow, 400.
Yeah. And so the most common one that's sold is lavender or spike lavender. That's actually a stimulant. It will keep you awake. So if you don't know that, it's a specific lavender you want. So Lavandula officinalis is the one that you want, or Lavandula angustifolia. It's the same thing, but that's the name, botanical name. And so you want to get the specific type, right?
Yeah, that's
and so it takes a little bit of investigation sometimes. So don't assume that all of this type of herb is the same. There are different varieties.
These are great information just by knowing that lavender can be a stimulant, and it could also, you know, put you to sleep. So, you know, just knowing.
Same with valerian. For 5% of people, it's a stimulant. 95% of people, it's relaxant.
Wow.
And then there's herbs that if you take too much will have an opposite effect to the ones you're trying to create. So it takes a little bit of knowledge.
Fine-tuning.
Yeah, fine-tuning. Yeah.
That's so cool. So many people actually have issues when they reach their you know, menopausal, especially for women. So what can they use, and even for younger women, to balance their hormones?
Sure. Well, again, I'll just share this with you that Vitex is an excellent one.
Yes.
Now,
blue cohosh,
black cohosh and blue vervain is maybe what you're thinking of.
Yeah.
They can be helpful. Red clover is another one. So it really depends on what hormones need help. So if you're low in estrogen, then I would recommend the red clover because it's high in phytoestrogens. All right. If it's low in progesterone, you may want to take some Vitex. Okay. So sometimes I recommend both of those. And sometimes it's because of nutritional lack.
Yeah, deficiency.
Right? But sometimes, exactly. And sometimes it's stress. So the same building block to make your sex hormones is what we use to make stress hormones.
Yes. And also we would like you to take note that a lot of the medications, including birth control pills, can also lower this hormones that you have in your body. So.
Yes. Be very careful. Here's the thing about hormones. When you take a hormone, even if it's identical to what your body makes, you're not able to manage the timing and release of that hormone. So when you go to a doctor, the doctor's going to be focused on upping your hormones. But there are 3 things you need to look at with hormones. You need to look at the gland. Don't just focus on the hormone, because the health of the gland is what's causing the dysregulation of the hormone. So you need to help feed the gland, as well as helping the hormones, as well as helping the receptors. So we have also what we call endocrine disruptors. Endocrine disruptors are chemicals that basically will link up with a receptor in the body that will bind to your natural body's hormones. But because it's blocking it, it's in that receptor, it can't attach. And this can cause dysregulation of hormones. And so what are the things that are causing this? Mainly chemicals that mimic the hormones. There are about 85,000 different chemicals.
Wow.
There's about 1,000 of them that are known to be endocrine disruptors. And these can be chemicals in your shampoos, in your soaps, in your skin products. They can be things that you breathe in. They can be things in cans of food. You know, we have things like phthalates that are chemical scents they put in candles and things like that. There are BPAs, bisphenol A. You know, there's a lot of these hormonal disruptors in those products. And as I said before, be careful about hormones you take in, because when you take a hormone in your body, then the body can stop producing that hormone. And then you end up managing your hormone through supplementation.
Yes.
You see, this goes with any hormone. Let's say, for example, you take melatonin for sleep.
Yes.
So you buy melatonin, you put it in your body. Now the pineal gland is making the melatonin. And so there's a pituitary gland that detects there's large amounts of melatonin in your body. So it notifies the pineal gland, stop making it.
Wow.
Okay. And now you're going to be dependent upon taking it yourself.
Yeah.
So when you add hormones in the body, then now you take ownership of managing your hormones outside of your body's natural mechanisms. And then you end up on this roller coaster. And now you've got the responsibility, because how do you know when to release a hormone? How do you know how much, at what time, and what amount that needs to be released in different parts of your body? You're now taking that responsibility upon yourself. And as I said, even if it's chemically identical, the body will stop making its own.
Wow.
Whichever hormone that is.
Thank you for explaining that. It gives really a view of how our body works and how we can support it and not do otherwise to kind of harm ourselves by doing so.
Our biggest problem is we interfere with what God has already placed in our body, and we try to manage things. And the act of managing causes more complications.
Yes, more harm than good.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, for men, especially under 50s or over, and you know, there could be risk of benign prostatic hypertrophy. So what can they use, or even to prevent that?
Sure. One of the best herbs for that is saw palmetto. Saw palmetto is a berry. It's found on a very spiky plant. You can find a lot of it in Florida. But it's very good to help reduce the inflammation in the prostate. And there's been a lot of clinical studies done on the saw palmetto showing that it actually can shrink the enlarged prostate gland.
Wow. How about ryegrass?
Ryegrass, it's yes, but not as much as saw palmetto. And another thing I would add is for men, not just for women, if they have high PSA levels, you can use red clover.
Red clover?
Red clover,
wow.
Yes. And don't worry, men, it's not going to develop breasts and make you effeminate.
Secondary.
Yeah.
Sex characteristics.
Yeah. You're going to be just fine. But that is one of the best herbs for high PSA levels. And then also pau d'arco. Pau d'arco is often used for cancer prevention. So we mix those three together. Yeah.
All right. So the next one that we wanted to know is that since we've gone through a pandemic and you know, many people are struggling with a whole gamut of health issues, what can we use to detoxify and also use as a natural anticoagulant to prevent blood clotting?
Yeah, so with blood clotting, you want to use natural blood thinners. So turmeric is a great blood thinner. Ginkgo biloba is as well. So is red clover. So those are some really good ones you can use. The benefit of using red clover is also it's a circulatory herb, and it can help prevent platelets aggregating.
Oh, okay.
And also berries. Just in your diet, just add some berries.
Wow.
Very good. Raspberries, strawberries, blueberries. Yes, this will keep the cells from getting too sticky and adhering to each other.
Yeah.
And also cayenne pepper, because it's great for circulatory herb, and it also acts as it causes a release of nitric oxide, which vasodilates the blood vessels, and it prevents stroke and heart attack and the blood getting too sticky.
It might be good to combine with beet juice freshly.
Yeah, beet juice is fantastic.
It's rich in nitric oxide.
Yes, beets
Yeah.
are. You can't beat beets.
That's a good advertisement there.
Yeah.
So how about medicinal herbs that we can grow in our backyard and
Okay.
medicinal herbs that we can find just in our backyard?
Yeah. Okay. So I'll just talk more of North America here.
Yes.
But actually, this one grows universally. It's plantain.
Plantain.
Plantain is something that is like charcoal. It can pull poisons out. You know, if you get stung, if you get a rash on your skin, it's very, very effective. And also, red clover, it grows in most parts of North America. Aloe vera is another excellent one. I would encourage people to have a little herb garden, you know, and put some things like comfrey, thyme, basil. Put a few culinary herbs in there that you can use also as medicinal plants when
and
you need
instead
them.
of using the added you know of seasoning
Yeah.
that you can buy in the store,
Yeah.
use
Make
real
your own.
herbs,
Yeah,
fresh
exactly.
herbs that you can use for your food, and adding to your diet, it will actually help your health as well.
And regarding detox, it really depends on, there's different types of detox. There's some people do what we call heavy metal detox, some do a colon cleanse, some do for helping just
Liver.
improve their blood or the
liver
liver. Yeah, I would say if you're looking for something just to help improve your blood, to clean that out, I'd say red clover is one of the best ones I would recommend.
Okay.
And then nettle. Nettle is fantastic for that. If you're looking at like heavy metals, you may want to use cilantro or chlorella.
Okay.
Yeah, it's another excellent one. If you're looking to help with the bowel, if there's obstruction, you may want to look at things that are more purgative, like cascara or psyllium seed husks.
Sagrada.
Sagrada, yeah, that's it. Yeah, so.
And so those are wonderful herbs that you can find, like plantain, red clover, and then we can grow the culinary herbs that what Dr. Lee said. And so I know you have your American herb shop. You can share to them about this information. Where can they find this herbal concoctions that you make? But one more thing before we go, you make your herbal preparations differently from many others because most are alcohol based, and Dr. Lee Wellard makes his without alcohol. Can you explain it to our audience? Why do you do that, and what's the advantage of having herbal preparations without the alcohol?
It's a good question. Well, let me tell you why it's used first. Alcohol is used because it's universally accessible, it's very cheap, and it also is good at extracting. Those are the three primary reasons it's used. Oh, I just add a fourth. It's got a long shelf life, so it's about 5 years shelf life. The downside of alcohol, and a lot of people think they can just pour boiling hot water over it and get rid of it, but it takes 2.5 hours of cooking at high temperatures to destroy 95% of alcohol. So the alcohol they use for extract or tinctures is usually from genetically modified corn, and they turn it into vodka, and they concentrate the alcohol. It's usually between 80 and 180% proof alcohol.
Wow.
So it's extremely strong. And so the downsides to that, one, it's cytotoxic. Alcohol is cytotoxic. Secondly, alcohol will destroy some of the plant's natural phytochemistry. All right, it will destroy, and it will degrade, and it will sterilize the herb over time. Also, it dries out the body's tissues. And on top of that, I don't want to be walking into an alcohol store wondering if my neighbor saw me come in.
So funny.
Another thing too is that it can pull out some toxic alkaloids that you don't want pulled out the plant. So most of the alkaloids that that is consumed today is toxic. Like caffeine is an alkaloid, right? Nicotine, morphine, cocaine. These are heavy duty toxic chemicals, and yeah, the alcohol can pull some of those toxic alkaloids out of the plant as well. So for those reasons, I just feel it's not safe. So we use the glycerin. Glycerin, in my opinion, is just as good as extracting that alcohol. It's more compatible with human physiology and digestion.
And without the danger of having your liver compromised.
Yeah, exactly. And kids can take it. You don't have to try to cook it for 3 hours. And it tastes a lot better because it's sweet.
Yes.
Yeah, it's sweet. And usually we use ours from palm oil. And so it's got a nice sweetness. And if you're taking herbs that aren't very tasty anyway, you want to help out. You don't want to put alcohol when it just tastes absolutely awful. So it's family friendly. The kids can take it. You can take it long term with no problems of side effects. And yeah, we've been very happy with the results.
Wonderful. Yeah. So what is your site and where can they go to order some of these herbal supplements?
Our website is www.americanherbshop. Now, shop is shoppe.com. And yeah, we have products there. We also do training and workshops and consultations. And yeah, we kept busy.
And we'll be carrying some of Dr. Lee's herbal preparations, and we'll put that on our site, and I'll give you a link as well.
Please get them from her.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Lee.
God bless you.
God bless.
All right, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, everyone. Choose life, choose health, and choose wealth. For after all is said and done, it's all about a matter of choice.